Please forgive the quality of the picture. I am blind and I am using an eye device, so the picture kind of is what it is. Hi everyone. Sorry about voiceover. I'm going to start by introducing the video and then just go right into this. You know, I'm going to do something different for this video. This would be the most boring day in the life in the world because I honestly don't have anything going unless I just got spontaneous and decided to Uber someplace. But, so I thought I would do a just kind of random thoughts and opinions video. I don't know if anyone ever does this, but I'm going to do it. I'm not necessarily what you would call a news hound, but there are a few live streamed news apps, meaning news apps that offer live streams in their apps that I watch. And I was watching it yesterday and I was like, I would want to comment on this and comment on that. I was like, okay, maybe I should do like a YouTube video about some of these random thoughts and comments. I don't know if this is going to be the first and the last, or if I'm going to do this a few times. I mean, from time to time, but here's the first one. The first thing I want to say wasn't even on the news. The first thing I want to say is, in all of my videos, I started by saying, basically, if the picture sucks, sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm blind, so there's nothing I can do about it. Well, actually, I mean, there might be something that eventually I can do about it, but I'm kind of, I mean, if by any chance the person that commented on my Facebook video, I posted a video to Facebook and she commented and said, well, just a little bit of feedback, and I appreciate that. I am open to those kind of comments. In fact, I did one thing that you suggested. I don't know if people watching this video can, I don't know if they noticed this. What she said was, you might want to, number one, turn some lights on in there. Number two, now turning lights on is something I could do. I just so often don't do it because I forget that they're on. I would forget that they're on. I don't have any light perception. So a light being turned on, of course, probably leads to a light being turned on and forgotten, and that leads to an electric bill that's bigger than it needs to be. And for someone who's not working, that's not helpful. So I just am inclined to turn the lights off, but I'll try to remember when I'm videoing to at least have a light on. And then the other thing she said was, if there's any way that you could figure out how to point the camera at you instead of at the wall. Now, I thought by using the front-facing camera instead of the back-facing camera, it would make it so you could see me, but apparently it's not. I don't know how to... I mean, I used to hold the camera like this, and then somebody told me you want to hold it in landscape mode because the picture is horrendous when you hold it in portrait mode, which basically means you want to hold it horizontally instead of vertically. Well, my thinking was, well, my picture is horrendous anyway just because I'm blind and I can't look in the viewfinder and adjust it, so... But if there's anything I can do to make it a little bit better, I'll do it. But I don't know how to... I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to aim it at my face, and I don't know how to... I haven't not considered... I have considered getting a camera, like a standalone camera. I almost did at one point, but that camera turned out to not be what I needed, and then I was like, well, let me go with what somebody else has that, you know, the only other blind YouTuber I know of. Let me go with what he has, or try to go with what he has. Well, it turns out that's like twice the cost of what turned out to not work, and I don't feel that I have that to spare right now. One day, if I ever do have it to spare, I might consider getting one. But the other thing that has to happen is I have to be taught how to take the 20 video clips that I might have made on that camera and link them all into a really nice seamless video like this. And until I have someone that's able to teach me that, I'm going to be using this this iDevice and recording into iMovie. So unfortunately, Videography 101 for the blind, as much as I would be willing to take that class, I don't know if it's a class that exists, or if it is, what school offers it in my area. The Oregon Commission for the Blind, you'd think they would offer a class like that, but number one, I don't know if they do. Number two, even if they do, I don't know if they would let me take it, because taking videos is not related to my goal with the Oregon Commission for the Blind right now, which is finding me a job, a normal job. In other words, I have a boss and I make money because I work for my boss and I come to work on time. I do everything I'm supposed to do, and for doing everything I'm supposed to do, I get paid $9 an hour, $10 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever the salary is for that job. And as far as self-employment with YouTube, the Commission for the Blind is not saying they would outright not support that, but that would be a complicated thing. I would have to come up with a business plan, then the Commission would have to conduct some kind of study to figure out if it was a viable business option that they could support. And, you know, the problem with telling other people what you want to do is it seems like sometimes people are all too ready to dissuade you from going through with that. Oh, that's never going to work. Or, you know, that... First of all, it's easy enough for me to do that to myself. Second of all, I don't need people discouraging me. So the bottom line is, as true as it is that you'd think that the Oregon Commission for the Blind would be able to help me with this kind of thing, they're not the first people I'm inclined to go to. I might be going to my voc rehab counselor and saying, look, if there are things that I want to learn that you guys can't teach me, do you know of any place that might be able to do what you can't do? And since I have a more approachable counselor than I did, say, at this time last year, that voc rehab counselor and I just didn't work well together. And eventually, circumstances lined up that I was able to change counselors without having to convince the counselor's boss to put me on someone else's caseload. Anyway, even though my current Commission for the Blind counselor and I have a better relationship than my former one and I did, I still don't expect her to say yes to everything. And there are going to be, I mean, she's constrained by the rules of the Commission for the Blind, which dictate that if it's just somebody wanting to learn how to do something for fun, it's not necessarily something they're going to support. I mean, I can discuss this again with my voc rehab counselor, but, you know, I'm not inclined to go to the Commission for the Blind. So the bottom line is, until I can find someone, see, this is what I do. I spend forever and a day saying something that should take 30 seconds to say. If you're NV87, you put up 60-minute videos, and half of it is babbling for no reason. It's what you do. Videography 101 for blind people. That's a class I'd be willing to take, but I don't know if it exists. If it does exist, I wouldn't know how to get to it. So until such a time as I do know how to get access to that and am able to take it, you're just stuck with the videos that you get. And I mean, if there are little things that I can do, I'm happy to be told what they are. But some things I can listen to a comment and think, okay, I can try to do that. In other cases, it's like, okay, someone literally has to teach me how to do that. And that means making contact with a person, I guess either online or preferably a person in the same room with me, showing me, well, this is what you do. This is, notice what the phone feels like right now, how we're holding it, maybe even tell me how you would perceive what we're doing right now, or describe it into your tape recorder or something, so that we all know that you know what it's going to take. Okay, well, that's what it takes to get a good picture of you, or, whatever. Again, having a GoPro, having a $400 or $600 GoPro that has a big screen, as opposed to this half an inch deep or half an inch wide by an inch deep camera on an iPhone, would help with that, obviously. But without having the money and without having the ability to learn how to take all of the files and put them into one video, and most definitely without having the willingness to have vlog part 1, vlog part 2, vlog part 220. I mean, that's one takes going on for multiple parts. An 8-parted shopping vlog when I only had the stock camera app was bad enough. Now that I know how to do iMovie, I do longer and smoother videos than that, and that's the kind of videos that I want to put up. So, like I say, until I know how to link 20 videos together into one video. See, I just spent 15 minutes telling you why you're stuck with these kind of pictures until I can find someone that can teach me how to make better videos. Enough about that. Like I said, I'm not a news hound necessarily, but there are a few news apps that I use, and I wish every news app was like the ones that I use. I wish every news app had a live stream button and a play now button instead of... There's one city that I lived in for a pretty momentous year for me, and I cannot find a live stream from that viewing area. I just can't find one. Because what I have found was there was an app that I thought gave you a live stream, but when I clicked on that, all it did was say live streams are available on your computer or smartphone or tablet or whatever when newscasts are available. If there are not any newscasts available, there are, what did it say? Repeats of previous newscasts. I'm like, okay, so where's the list of previous newscasts or even the play button? Well, apparently what it all comes down to is there's another app you've got to download, which I did go ahead and download. Well, that made me create an account, and I really don't like that about things like Pandora and Spotify and whatever else. Okay, why can't you just give me a play button and let me listen to it or watch it, whatever? Why must I create an account and a password? I mean, why? When it comes to just watching, I mean, you don't have to. Why do you do that? I don't like that. Well, I went ahead and created an account, but what it turned out to be was it wasn't the news station app. It was an app that had multiple people live streaming on it, and you had to find the right account to have your live streams or to watch your live streams on. Okay, I guess I can get next to that, but I've searched the call letters. First of all, finding the search field took a little bit of doing, but when I finally found it, I entered their call letters. I entered their call letters in the word news. I entered the call letters and the channel number. I entered the call letters and the word news and the channel number. I don't know what to search that will actually bring up their account so I can follow it. I couldn't get them to come up. I've pretty much given up on that one. And there's no other apps that give live streams, which is really unfortunate. I'm glad that there are a few apps that give that option. I wish other apps would do the same thing. But the news that I am getting gives me plenty of things to have an opinion about. First of all, this story that happened this week about two kids that got on the wrong airplanes, and the parents were understandably scared out of their minds when either their kid wasn't there or they were told, okay, we found your child, and then the child that walks out is not their child. I mean, first of all, before I go here, I'm sure that some people are going, well, you don't even have kids. What makes you think you have room to talk? Well, everybody's got their right to their opinion. And it's true, I don't have kids. But if I had a 5-year-old child, I wouldn't put him on a plane by himself. It's just, I don't think that's... I'm not sure what that magic age is between too young to be traveling by yourself and just the right age to be traveling by yourself. And that is an issue that might vary. I guess if you asked 100 people what is too young to fly, I guess you might get 100 different answers. And even airlines differ, because there was another story that was about a month ago about a kid who, well, they call it a kid. The airline calls him a kid. He was not an 18-year-old young man, a 15-year-old young man. In his story, his dad booked a flight for him going from home to relatives, a city where relatives lived. And then it's not that they didn't book a flight home, it's that they booked a flight home that had plane changes. And on this airline's policy, the airline that they used, their policy is that kids 15 years and younger are considered unaccompanied minors. In other words, he's just on the wrong side of the lines for this situation, because so-called unaccompanied minors are not allowed to travel on trips where you have to get off of one plane and get onto another. They have to have a direct flight. And personally, I would prefer a direct flight. But, you know, it all comes back to when you book your flight, can you find a direct flight? In this dad's case, live and learn, I guess. And, you know, dad might have a point there when he says, well, they should have told me that when I booked the flight a few months ago. So the point of the news story, I guess, was this is what happened to this family. I'm sure by now they have found a way to get their mid-teen-year-old son home. But the lesson there is make sure you double check the airlines about what they call an unaccompanied minor before you book your teenager's ride or teenager's plane. And one if one airline calls 15 an unaccompanied minor and another airline calls 18, rather, if one airline calls 15 an unaccompanied minor and another airline calls 12 an unaccompanied minor, but from 13 to 13 and older is considered at least old enough to take responsibility for yourself and be an adult, then go with the airline that considers your 15-year-old old enough to deal with his own affairs. But any airline that would consider a 5-year-old anything other than an unaccompanied minor is really questionable. And I'm not saying that the airline doesn't consider that an unaccompanied minor. I'm saying that the airline shouldn't have been responsible for a child that's that young. Like I said, if I had a child that young, I wouldn't put him on an airplane by himself. I would go with him. I would arrange for some adult to go with them. I would arrange for even a teenage cousin or something to go with them that was considered not an unaccompanied minor. I would use an airline that if I had a 16-year-old friend or babysitter or cousin or something that I trusted enough to leave my child's life in their hands, I would use an airline that considers, I don't know, even 15 years and older and an adult, and the person's 16 or 17, you know, on the other side of that line of unaccompanied minor. Because for that age of child to be an unaccompanied minor on an airplane, I think that's just really, I don't discredit the parents as far as their fear. Their fear was, of course, real. And I mean, my God, what's happened to my baby? I mean, that's understandably where they are, and they, you know, the parents are going, how did this happen? I don't know if I'm ever going to use this airline again, etc., etc. Well, I'm not sure it's all the airline's fault. Part of it might be the airline's fault, and I'm not saying that that's not a real thing that the airline maybe should look at. But like I say, I'm questioning what a 5-year-old child is doing flying by himself in the first place. I think that's just really, that's putting your child in some pretty significant danger, I think. You know, I remember a long time ago, was it 80 or was it 99 or 2000? I don't remember exactly when the news report was aired, but I was quite a bit younger. I was here in Portland on vacation visiting my aunts, who I ended up, well, that's another story. I ended up deciding that it was better to live near them than, like I said, that's another story. The point is, I remember being at my aunt's house listening to the news on the radio, because back then you could get, sometimes, you know, if you were in the right place, you could get a TV station on the radio. Those days are long gone, I'm pretty darn sure. I don't think there is any such a thing as a TV radio anymore. But a TV radio is perfect for a blind person because all we really need are the sounds. Anyway, when the deep fried Twinkie first came out as a fair food, at least I'm pretty sure it's a fair food. It first came out, they said fried Twinkies? Yeah. And they basically, the report was talking about them and, like, I guess how they made them. And the reporters are going, what? Fried Twinkies? How can they do that to that perfect Twinkie? Well, I have to say, I kind of feel the same way about deep fried Oreos. I know I haven't tried them. And I know that there are a lot of people that just adore those when they go to the fair. But I'm like, deep fried Oreos, why would you do that to that Oreo? Just leave it alone. Just bust the package open. Twist that top off. Lick out that perfect chocolate goodness. Munch on the cookie. You know. Deep fried Oreos. I find it hard to believe I'd like those. I guess I could try them one of these days. Why am I thinking about fairs? Because I watched one of the news apps that I do have the ability to live stream from. There's a fair going on in the area right now, and they sent one of their field reporters to do a report on it. And by the time I finished watching that, I should point out that these apps let me think. I've got about 3, I think, that I kind of watch. Well, 2 that I really kind of primarily watch, and then the other one, in the event that I'm not in Portland, or that I'm not close to my TV and I want to see what's going on the local news, I have that one. But the other 2, the 2 that I primarily watch right now are not local to me. I mean, if I wanted to go to that, yeah, it's going on for almost the entire month of September, but that's a long airplane ride or a train ride, or whatever it is, just to go to a fair. I'm sure there's something locally going on here. I guess the nearest thing is in the state capital, which is a ways away, but I haven't got anyone to go with right now, so and I know that the whole idea of being blind and independent is to not count on others for things, but there are some things that maybe it's just me and my level of being blind might not have anything to do with it. The point is, there are going to be some people that don't agree with me, but even when you're blind, I think that you do have to do some things with other people. And going to a fair, I think, is one of those things. So even though I can't really enjoy fair stuff, I watched that news report. I've gone to YouTube and I'm looking at fair vlogs, I'm just kind of thinking, I guess I'm just kind of in the fair mood after watching that. To that particular photographer though, he's not going to be watching, but what's the big idea eating the reporter's fried chicken and waffle? You know, film her. That's what your job is. Film her, let her do her live shots, and then go buy your own. Anyway, if I ever did go to a fair, I'd probably vlog it. I mean, if I possibly could, I would.
Viewfinder. Image. Viewfinder. 0. Viewfinder. 0. Stop recording video. Button.
Damn it.